Remember Angry Birds? It's hard to find someone alive today who doesn't. It was such a hit for literally every single age range and demographic. Angry Birds was one of the biggest mobile games, if not one of the biggest social phenomena ever, and most definitely in the 21st century. Being featured everywhere from movies,
We deserve respect!
Ted, shut up.
Fine.
TV shows,
No Angry Birds! No Angry Birds for Android!
even things like Facebook and Cheetos of all things had collabs with Angry Birds. Angry Birds literally had its own TV shows, merch, giant collabs, etc. And now the name is barely even mentioned anymore. How did Angry Birds, one of the biggest sensations in the 2010s, go from king of the world to irrelevant? Well, that's what today's video is about, so stay tuned. Angry Birds being one of the pioneers of mobile games, the gameplay was pretty simple. You aim with a slingshot where you want the bird to go, and you release, hoping to knock down as many towers with pigs as possible. There was obviously the different characters where you would tap the screen to use their power, but that was about it. I mean, the game was pretty simple. And that's great. That's actually what helped the game succeed at first, honestly. The simplistic nature of it made it very widely accessible for most people. And with how new and fresh of the market mobile gaming was, it worked perfectly. For a bit. With every new Angry Birds game, the core gameplay was barely affected at all, and the devs seemed scared to try anything new. Not to say they didn't, because there was plenty of great things added in the sequels and collaborations, but for the most part the gameplay was still drag, aim, and tap. It worked for a while until it got a little old and lazy and people wanted something new. Eventually, Rovio did somewhat try new things, but again, they barely changed the formula in an evolving mobile market, and unfortunately, this is one of the things that led to the downfall of one of the greatest franchises. One of the biggest things companies and brands can do to keep an IP of theirs relevant continuously is for the IP to constantly evolve and move on to bigger things. With Angry Birds being one of the first mobile games, at least to reach the popularity that Angry Birds did, and mobile games being such a new and rising phenomenon, the market changed. Back in the day, mobile games used to cost money, and Angry Birds was no exception to that. But as mobile games grew and evolved, the tactic of making users pay for games was becoming outdated quickly, and so many companies and apps had to adapt, Angry Birds included. And so they swapped to the free-to-play genre, which has its own kinks to itself, but the biggest thing that dragged down games in this genre is ads. Especially on mobile, and microtransactions. These things can literally make or break a game, and with Rovio's greed, I'll get into it, it was certainly not a great idea for Angry Birds.
I repeat back anything that's said to me.
As most things go in capitalistic America, when something becomes a moneymaker, it tends to be exploited. What was once a love project made by an indie team evolved into a cultural hit and exploded in popularity, causing for it to be overrun with corporate greed. I mean, literally almost the second Angry Birds got popular, collabs started being pumped out of nowhere. From Angry Birds Rio, Angry Birds Star Wars, it's still goated, just listen, all the way to stupid greedy collabs mentioned earlier like Angry Birds Cheetos. Angry Birds Cheetos, seriously? Like, and literally none of the gameplay was different except for the inclusion of the fucking brand name. Once Rovio got their money, it definitely changed them indefinitely and ultimately started the downfall of this beloved franchise, which is so sad to see. At the end of Angry Birds' life, Rovio really nuked their quality control. You started to get games such as Angry Birds Pop, Angry Birds Evolution, Angry Birds Blast, Angry Birds Match, Angry Birds Dream Blast, Do I Need to Keep Going, and dare I say Angry Birds 2. It's like they genuinely just hit this button that forced them to start producing slop.
So here we go. I'm about to make myself retarded.
I mean, I know one of the issues I had earlier was lack of innovative gameplay, but can you really call any of this innovative? The quality control just shit the bed, and it really seems like it was the nail on the coffin. I mean, we haven't had a decent Angry Birds game since Angry Birds 2, in my opinion, and even that was pretty bad, like I said earlier. not counting Angry Birds Reloaded. I'll talk about that later, but overall, the quality of the gameplay that set this game apart from so many just became a clone of its slot max idiotic competitors. And now to address the elephant in the room. Early 2019, something very dark happened in the Angry Birds fandom. Hell for everyone around the world. And if you haven't guessed it already, it's the mass deletion of literally almost all of their games. I mean, what the hell? Who goes through and removes all of their most popular products? The thing that made Rovio. Do you know Rovio for anything other than Angry Birds? It's just stupid, like genuinely. A lot of these games were still / could still be money makers for them. So it's not a money issue because I know damn well they aren't making money off of Angry Birds Blast. But it's understandable with some of the licensed collabs like Rio or Star Wars, they lose the licensing to it. But to go through and delete every single game is genuinely crazy. It's like taking a bayonet, stabbing yourself in the foot, and then proceeding to shoot your foot off. This was it. This was literally the biggest reason that the Angry Birds franchise died. You can't have a franchise without your most popular games in it. Rovio saw the franchise was on life support, and they decided to just pull the plug. But there could still be hope. Since I don't want this video to be all negative, I want to talk about the future. And since the mass deletion event happened, a few things have occurred. I mean, Rovio was actually acquired by Sega, the Sonic company. If you don't know that, I don't know what you're doing. So that's quite big news. And 2 Angry Birds movies have come out since then, with a 3rd one on the way. And maybe they're not great, but it's definitely a breath of fresh air into the franchise. And it's, Rovio or Angry Birds saying, hey, we're still here. And the first movie actually did pretty good. Angry Birds Reloaded has also been a thing, but yeah, it exists. It's certainly not bad per se, but it's an Apple Arcade exclusive, and you never hear anything about it. And it's literally just the older games compiled into one. Like, their biggest update recently was adding Angry Birds Space. You could literally go back and play Angry Birds Space if it was still on the App Store. Anyways, is Angry Birds dead? For now, I'd like to say yeah. As much as it sucks to say that, it doesn't mean that there's no hope at all. I mean, with Sega, a pretty big company, buying out Rovio, it doesn't mean the end of Angry Birds forever. But I really don't think that Angry Birds will ever have the cultural significance that it held back in the day. And well, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. And until then, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.